He was in he was in the hospital for weeks. He wasn't improving to the point that the doctors told my mother that probably he won't survive. So he wasn't conscious, he was sleeping, and we just kind of waiting. And from nowhere, my father reacted, and today he's still with us. But my father said that when he was sleeping, the only thing that he remembers is thinking about us and thinking about my mother being alone raising her kids, or the 4 kids that we were at that. I mean, we're 4 siblings. So that keep him alive and bring him back. And that means a lot for me and for us. Forward a little bit later, I was in college, and my father, I got a big deadline for the next day. I was working late. It was probably 2 o'clock in the morning. I was building a model. Everything crashed, something broke. I was just stressed, upset. I was crying. And when I feel behind me a shadow, and it was my father. And he was just asking me what happened. I kind of explained to him. And he stayed with me up until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, helping me to put together back the model. And I will never forget that. And those are the little moments and the little special times that make this relationship and make so important in our life. And it's one of the things that I remember the most. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you because that's special for me. I wondered if somebody would like to share some of those special memories with somebody that played that role in your life. If somebody would like to share with us. Oh, Natalie?
Thank you, Angelica, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, my father, when I was a little girl and probably still today, I was a daddy's girl. As many of you know, I moved to Charlotte to be home and help my father during this time that he's been on and off with leukemia. And one of my fondest memories of him is growing up, we would go boating. We lived in California. So I know we were talking about diversity early on. My family's from Argentina, but I was born in San Francisco. And so we would always take the boat out on the lake. And later we moved to Miami. And no matter where we were, boating was part of our favorite pastimes. And I always enjoyed being his co-pilot and just feeling like I was navigating with him, and he let me take on that role. So whenever I'm by the water or the ocean, it's really a place where I feel connected to him, and that reminds me of my dad.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Natalie. Those are those little moments that make so special. All right, we got to keep moving with our meeting, and we are going to introduce a role that we typically don't have every night, but tonight we have the perfect person to be in this role. And this is the joke master of the night. And we are going to have Ali Towing telling us, developing this role. Go ahead, Ali.
Toastmaster. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, fellow guests. Yeah, I'm just gonna shout my daddy out for 2 minutes since the theme is on family. I just want to say real quick, you know, my mama's watching this. I love my mama. Listen, I love my mama, but you know, I just gotta shout my daddy out because everything. First of all, I'm a junior. I have my dad's name, but everything I am today is because of my dad. All the lessons I got taught, you know, all the whoopings I got when I was a kid, you know, all the yelling and screaming, all of that is because of my dad, right? Just learned some Bible lessons from him. I am a like direct reflection of him. So when people ask me like where do you get this stuff from? Like, because I really don't think realistic. Because I never was taught to think realistic. I'd be like, you need to blame my daddy. My daddy is his fault. This is my daddy's fault. Because people be like, you need to calm down. I can't calm down. Blame my daddy. Because this is how he raised me to be. And you know, I was raised to, if I took it here, you need to take it there. I never like high self-esteem, confidence, treat people with respect, and, you know, and be the best version that you can be. And that's how my daddy raised me. So I just want to shout my daddy out and tell him that he did an amazing job. And I'm gonna be better than him. And I have no problem saying that because my daddy told me to be better than him. He tells me all the time, please be better than me. He says, I am your #1 fan. So nobody's against me. He tells me all the time, because like there's been times in the past where, you know, because he's like, nobody's against you. He's like, I'm your #1 fan. He's like, I am on your side all the way. And I think this is really good. So if any of you guys are parents, or if any of you guys are looking to have kids, I'm telling you, at a young age, you gotta boost them kids up. You gotta boost them kids up because when the real world hit them, they gotta be able to take it. One thing I will say about my dad is he prepared me for the real world. And when I mean real world, I mean bills, life, you know, stuff that just hit you out of nowhere. You going this way, then it just falls down. So I just want to shout out my daddy who did an amazing job. I love my mama. My mom did an amazing job too. But like I said, this is my daddy's time. And Father's Day is next week also. Make sure I get him a nice gift. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Ali, thank you so much. I agree with you. He did a wonderful job. Thank you. All right. Now it's time to introduce a very important role. Is our grammarian. Our grammarian is the person that is going to keep us in track. And I think that she did it a couple of weeks ago. She performed this role. She was really good, very detailing. So I am trying to be very careful and making sure that I don't make this mistake. Please, everybody, welcome Alan Kapul, our grammarian for tonight.
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and distinguished guests. For tonight's meeting, I am the grammarian, which means I will be keeping tracks of filler words such as you know, so, like, and so on and so forth. In addition to that, I will go ahead and introduce the word of the day. And the word of the day is support, which means to uphold or defend as valid or right. To use it in a sentence is, my family support my decisions of moving out. And throughout the meeting, I encourage each and every one of you guys to use the word of the day to kind of get points. And yeah, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lan. I believe I already have some points because I already used the word of the night, support. Well, thank you. Let's keep moving. I'm going to introduce another very important role for the meeting is our timer, the person that is going to keep us in track with the time. So please welcome Sean Seng, our timer for tonight.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. I am Sean and I am your timer tonight. My job is to keep track of the time and make sure we use the appropriate time for each session and we'll be able to finish on time. And I'll be timing the 3 sessions, which are the prepared speeches, the table topics discussions, and the individual evaluations. And the rules for prepared speeches are the 5 to 7 minute duration. I know Baloo is doing the level 5 and he's going to be using 8 to 10 minutes. And in general, you'll be seeing green at the 5-minute mark. And then at the 6-minute mark, you'll be seeing the yellow. And then you'll be seeing red at 7 minutes. Moving on to the table topics discussion, it's expected to be 1 to 2 minutes, and you'll be seeing green at the 1-minute mark and yellow at 1:30, red at 2. For the individual evaluation, it's expected to be 2 to 3 minutes, Again, you'll be seeing green at 2-minute mark, yellow at 2:30, red at 3 minutes. And guests are encouraged to participate in the table topics discussion as well. And we don't have any time limit for you. So that's all. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean, for a really well-detailed explanation. Let's go to one of the main parts of our meeting tonight, and we are going to start listening our speakers for the night. I'm going to introduce them, and at the end, I will ask our timer to give us a time report. Our first speaker of the night is Balud. Balud is in the pathway for dynamic leadership. As Sean mentioned before, he's in a level 5, and he's going to give us a speech between 8 and 10 minutes about situational leadership. Today, Balud is going to walk us through 4 quadrants of situations and walk through different approaches to handling each situation. Go ahead, Balud.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, for that wonderful introduction. Honored fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. It is my honor and privilege to be your speaker tonight, and I am excited to share some of my thoughts, or I'm excited to share with you a framework for situational leadership. Toastmasters' motto is Toastmasters is where leaders are made. That's a phrase I want to unpack. Toastmasters is about leadership, and it's about you becoming a leader. Our made part of it implies that leaders aren't born. Leaders and leadership, leaders can practice leadership skills and become better. And in the past, you've heard me speak about different leadership styles, different leadership preferences. I talked about my preferences. So this is, it's about having a preference for right hand versus left hand. We can all use both at different times and if we need to, but I'm a righty, and I've talked about my leadership style being very people-oriented and people first, process second, results third, thinking that if I go in that order, things will be taken care of in that order. So there are millions of people and there are millions of styles out there, and each one is very unique and individual, and it is hard to navigate leading others in that level of complexity. And today I want to spend a little bit of time thinking about one aspect of leadership, and that's at the workplace. I'm going to be talking about it from the employer's or manager's perspective of leadership and how to lead direct reports or your team members, and presenting to you a framework about how to think about that. Please note that this is not strictly applicable in that context. You can use this framework and apply it anywhere else in your life as well, but it is most applicable there, and the examples will ring more true. And my hope is that this is applicable to you. My guess is we all have a place, a team for work, and we can take this framework with us and apply it at our work. So without further ado, I will share a presentation I prepared with you. Let's see. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? That's great. So we will talk about you as the manager in this case. And the way you're going to adapt your leadership style is going to depend on where your teammate is at their journey for a given task. I'm going to repeat that. The way you're going to lead your teammate is going to depend on your teammate for that given task. So there's a lot to unpack there. But before going there, I want to say why this is important. Situational leadership is important because it motivates our teams to grow, to stay engaged, and to contribute at their best. We have to do this diagnosis and matching of the situation to the leadership requirements well, so that everybody can benefit from the situation. People can grow, the business results can follow. So there are two layers I want to present. The first one is competence, and the second one is confidence. You could also use motivation or will instead of confidence. You may have heard of this in terms of a will versus skill kind of paradigm as well, but we'll talk about it in terms of competence and confidence today. So let's take competence. The main primary question here is, what has the employee already done regarding this skill and done well? And this doesn't mean intelligence, it's experience. For example, I am very low, my level of competency is very low when it comes to having a UX design project. I would not be able to do that. It doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent. It just means that I don't have experience there. So there's no shame or guilt about having low competence in a certain area. So you can see the examples here. Someone with a lot of experience has done the task well and several times and without help. The opposite of that would be that I never had the experience, or I just don't even know where to begin. So that would be in the low competence skill. Let's switch over to the confidence portion. This is the main question here is, how confident and motivated are they trying to this skill? Are they to perform this task? This is completely separate from competence. And this is about will. This is about the effort and energy that one is willing to spend discretionarily. So you can think of the example as someone might have no idea how to write a code, but they are extremely eager to learn. They are rolling up their sleeves and spending hours and hours. They want to get this right. Or you can think about it as they just don't want to. They don't care. And they're not motivated, or they've never done this, and they're not confident about it either. So we'll put the 2 and 2 together now on a 2x2 matrix, and we'll talk about some examples. And I encourage all of you to think about the first day of your work at your last job. Put yourself in that position. How were you feeling? And hopefully you've had some experience before, between then and now, that you'll be able to relate to this example. So on this chart, I've put competence on one axis and commitment on the other. So commitment, again, is the will portion. Competence is the skill portion. The first one is the enthusiastic beginner. Again, this is you on day one. Think about how excited you are to start a new job. You've got this cool, awesome opportunity. Everyone is new, everything is new. And hopefully this was a stretch opportunity for you. You don't know much. You are going to learn a lot. There's a lot of learning ahead of you, but you're excited. You're ready to dive in. A little bit of time passes. You get to pick up some tasks. This is the hardest part of the learning journey. You are realizing you're taking on some tasks. You're making mistakes. So this way, you're not quite competent yet, but you're also not that committed because you've had some stumbles and you're still learning. The next stage is you begin to build some competence. You, through repetition, through deliberate practice, you are learning and you can contribute in a meaningful way. But this is the place where you're a little scared to take the risk, or you still need a little bit of support. You still need someone to spot you when you take that next step. But what you need is letting go a little bit and owning it, because there's still someone trying to support you. And then the last one is self-reliant achiever. This is where you are self-reliant, you don't need any much support, you're competent, and you're committed. Off you go. So for each of these journeys, you'll need something different in terms of leadership. And the development happens in that order. So I want to introduce two types of leadership styles. One is directive, and you can see the examples there. The other one is supportive. Directive is a little bit more hands-on. Supportive is a little bit hands-off. So when we put the two and two together, you can see that the colors match. So in the first stage, where you're an enthusiastic beginner, you have a lot of motivation, but very low skill. The manager's job is to match that situation with a directive leadership style. You're giving very specific tasks, you're following through, you are you're setting your employee up for building confidence. The second stage is the goal is to re-energize and reteach. So your role here is not to be very hands-on, but coach from a little bit of distance. Be engaged in problem solving, contribute, but listen, seek input. And the third stage is your goal. You know your employee can handle the tasks. They can contribute at this point, but what they need is a little bit of motivation, a little bit of confidence. And here, your goal is to support. Let them own it. Let them see that they can do it on their own. And when it comes to situation 4, your role is to let go and sponsor, delegate, set them up for future opportunities so that they can take on the world. I know I'm running a little bit over time. I challenge all of you to think about where you are for the specific task you have at hand today, because this is not based on a person, this is based on a task. Thank you very much. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Balut. Excellent speech. Very helpful. I started the job 3 months ago. I believe that I felt in the beginning stage moving up, but I definitely I feel like I have experienced these different stages, and definitely I will use this in my job and try to be a better leadership, since I am starting a position where I need to develop that role. Well, let's keep moving with our second speaker of the night. We are going to have Natalie, who is going to talk about the first eclipse of 2001, which arrived June 10. In North Carolina, we will be lucky to watch the glimpse of this natural phenomenon. Natalie is going to share with us the energetic effects of this time period and why, where, and when to watch it. Natalie, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, Toastmasters family and extended family, our guests. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here this evening. On June 10th, this Thursday, we have the first solar eclipse of 2021. We're really lucky to have an opportunity to watch a partial view in North Carolina, and we'll have 13% visibility. So as Angelica mentioned, I'm going to share with you the energetic effects of a solar eclipse how you can support yourself and others during this time, why you should watch the solar eclipse, when and where you can see it. Well, I first want to invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and breathe out and breathe in. And I want you to start to envision your favorite sun-filled memories. Now, as this is coming up for you, tap into your body and just check how you feel. What comes up for you? I want you to remember that feeling and register it. As we open our eyes again, I want to invite somebody to share what memory came to mind for them and the feeling they felt. You can open your eyes. Any volunteers? Tiffany.
Okay, what came to mind was we went on vacation to the Bahamas. This was my first family trip going on a cruise, and we visited the Bahamas, and the water, it was just so beautiful. And I brought my son and my nieces with us, and that trip is just unforgettable. Waking up on the ship, seeing the sun rise and also set, it was just beautiful. So that was my family gathering that I thought about the beach.
Thank you for sharing that. When I my eyes and have my sun-filled memories, of which there are many as a former Florida girl in the sunshine, I also light up and can't help but smile. And the reason I wanted you all to reflect on those experiences is because the sun, the stars, and the moon in their own right have all been muses throughout history. When you think of your favorite songs, poetry, movies, there's countless references of the sun. For instance, in The Temptations, My Girl, I got sunshine on a cloudy day is one of the lines. Also, the movie based on the book is The Sun is Also a Star, which is a great film. And there's the song called Total Eclipse of the Heart. So, I mean, there's so many references. I'm sure as you think of your favorites, they'll start to come up for you. And for me, I always grew up entertained by the pages of magazines where I would flip to the astrology section. And I always found that quite entertaining as a young girl. But 6 years ago, when I traveled to New Zealand for the first time, I really started to take an interest in the solar system and in the cosmos specifically. What prompted that? Well, when I was in New Zealand, I was in this quiet town, and there was no city pollution or light pollution, as they call it. And for the first time, I saw the stars and the sky and the moon really clearly. And so I asked the guide out of curiosity, because the question just came to mind, when I'm back home in the US on the East Coast, will I see the same stars, the same sun eclipse that is seen here in New Zealand? And the answer is quite simple. It depends where you are, but no, you wouldn't if you're in New Zealand versus the East Coast of the US, because you're looking at different hemispheres. Now, if you were somewhere like Ecuador on the equator, you'd see the full spectrum of the sky above because you're seeing all hemispheres. That really called my attention. And so what really makes an eclipse unique is that there are three kinds of eclipse. So I'm going to walk you through it, but there's lunar eclipse and there's solar eclipse. So to clarify, there's three types of solar eclipse. And what we'll have here on June 10th is a solar eclipse. We'll have a partial solar eclipse. So what you see behind me is called an annular solar eclipse. And what happens when you have an annular solar eclipse is that the sun, moon, and earth collide, but the moon doesn't fully cover the sun, so it creates this beautiful ring of fire. Now, that's what the nation will see on Thursday, but in Charlotte, because we only have 13% visibility, we will not get the ring of fire. However, we will have an incredible sunrise that lasts for 17 minutes from 6:08 a.m. till 6:25. So part of why and the total eclipse is so special is because that's the moment that I personally have never seen, but it's when the moon, earth, and sun all come in one and there's total darkness. Now, that's actually sparked a tourism, which they're called eclipse chasers, and it's eclipse tourism, because these eclipses are so rare that they only appear in one specific location every 360 to 400 years. So if we had a total eclipse in Charlotte, for instance, that would happen once in our lifetime, and then we would need to travel elsewhere to go see it. Last year, there was one in South America, but they do happen in our lifetime, just not in the same location, to clarify. So there's eclipses 3 to 4 times a year. They just vary. And the next total eclipse for the US will be in 2024. So if you're planning on booking a trip or you needed an excuse post-COVID, here you go, eclipse tourism. And the energetic effects of this time, contrary to the moon, when the moon is in transit, you are often encouraged to surrender, to release things. Well, on any type of eclipse, you just want to chill, stay put. Emotions are heightened. You don't want to make any rash decisions. So you're encouraged to take care of yourself. It's most likely that you'll feel tired during this time. You want to make sure that you keep up any healthy practices that you have, whether that's exercising. You can also outsource your self-care. So go get a massage, whatever that is for you. Journaling and meditating, reflecting inward are also great during this time. And you don't want to sign any contracts or agreements because the emotions are heightened. So you may not be thinking clearly. Now, where can you watch the eclipse? Well, anywhere where you have a clear view of the sunrise. It's recommended to get to an elevated point of view, and you can make an event of it. Grab coffee, your breakfast, and a loved one, and go out and enjoy the sunrise. This is definitely a bucket list event. And I'm going to drop in the chat a Forbes article that will show you a map where you can actually go out and find this eclipse, whether you're in Charlotte or elsewhere this Thursday. Thank you.
Natalie, thank you so much. That was very interesting. Great speech. And my son loves stars. He got a big telescope. We will be looking at the eclipse on June 10th between 6 and 6:25. Thank you again. All right, let's keep moving. And we have our last speaker for the night, but not least, is going to be Freddie Barbour. And Freddie is also in the dynamic leadership pathway. He's also in level 5 elective in high performance leadership #1. And Freddie is going to talk about the evaluation program to 2021. He's going to give an overview of an effective evaluation for continuous Toastmasters and club growth. The program will help improve evaluators, speakers, and the club if done with a concerted effort. Freddie, take it away. We cannot hear you, Freddie.
We're going to do this again. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening. I come to you as a witness of the benefits that I have actually received in Toastmasters. I joined June 2014, and I tell you, my experience in Toastmasters, a lot of the promotions that I've received, the enhanced living, I truly can say came from me putting in the work of becoming a good Toastmaster, going through the program, and evaluations were the moments that actually changed me. There's a power in getting evaluated by someone and learning what your strengths are as you give a speech, but also the areas that you can improve. But bigger than that, evaluations is the heartline of a club, of a successful club. And I've noticed through my time as a secretary, as a president, area director, as I've talked to a lot of Toastmasters, going to a lot of different clubs and helping them out, one of the core elements to a great club and their success as well as their downfall has been around evaluation. So I want to go over a strategy that I've seen that has worked, and I want to encourage this club to be able to implement this and just experience it next meeting. But as we get started, let me just share with you a few things. This agenda, what I want to kind of go over is just the then and now at Queen City, general observations that I've learned as a Toastmaster leader, going to different clubs, talking to different people, but also sharing with you why effective evaluations matter. Ken Blanchard is a well-renowned author. He was also received Toastmasters Golden Gavel Award, but he talked about feedback as the breakfast of champions, that evidence shows this to be true. People who can take all kinds of feedback and grow from it tend to be more successful in most aspects of life. Bill Gates, everyone knows, Microsoft founder and CEO, also said, we all need people who will give us feedback. That is how we improve. Look at Dan. This was Queen City Toastmasters. Just alive, fun, the place to be. You can see as a picture right over here of just how full. We used to have maybe on average 35, 40 people at one meeting at a time. And that was just average. We were the largest Toastmasters club in Charlotte, as well as the oldest, as you know. But this is pre-pandemic. Everybody's happy. This is where we are now, virtual. And I know as we start to enter and get back into society, you know, I see a lot of clubs taking a hybrid approach of allowing, as you see us now, being able to come back into the club, but also be able to join meetings virtually as well. Just some general observations that I've noticed is around attendance. And this is pre-pandemic, and this is also just during the pandemic. As I've noticed is that a lot of clubs in District 37, which is the district we're in, you got over 22,000 clubs in District 37, which caters towards all of North Carolina. But they've noticed during the pandemic a significant, are you all not being able to see what I'm sharing? Oh man. Not sure how it showed me that I was sharing. Hold on. It's saying host disabled participant screen sharing. Okay. Well, I'll just speak off club and give you the visuals.
I think
some of the stuff,
they
some of the stuff that I should have shared, that's cool. Some of the stuff that I've noticed pre-pandemic is just attendance. I noticed that the successful clubs, the attendance, as I said, was usually between 15 and 20, and they were very active. As you know, for a club to sustain, you have to have 20 members or more. Participation, the good clubs, very active. Usually a third of their membership was involved, agendas filled out ahead of time. You also saw, again, advanced Toastmasters involved, a combination of advanced Toastmasters and new members, leaders really going into these officer roles and being able to transfer to new leaders for the new administration, and then just receiving club and Toastmaster awards. What we're seeing now is that the attendance did drop during the pandemic. Participation is starting to wane. Advanced Toastmasters, you're seeing more new members than regular advanced Toastmasters. And then leadership, as we start to look at the new administration, wanting to see exactly how we could continue to push that out, but also awards. So effective evaluations is where it's at. It fosters growth in a healthy club. This right here is just kind of showing why it's so important, which again, the true thing to take away from this is that it improves speaking and leadership skills. And again, it's the heart of a Toastmasters educational program. What I'm offering is us being able to try having, as we already have, a general evaluator, evaluator speeches, plus rapid fire, which is basically having maybe 2 or 3 members that can actually give an evaluation within 30 seconds, just sharing to that speaker some things that they observed, and then love notes from the entire member and guests to speakers. We've noticed that this formula really works. Here's a general evaluator checklist, because people are like, oh, I'm a general evaluator, what to do? We have the resources here. So I want to just kind of show you that in regards to evaluating and providing great feedback, it's all here. And I'm going to put that in a place where we all can be able to use, such as this evaluation form, which you're probably already using now. What I'm asking is that we have an action team, I guess, for next meeting, the general evaluators, see if we can get maybe 2 or 3 rapid people that want to do the rapid fire evaluators, and let's just implement and see how that goes. And then we can do that for June 15th, and then maybe do a survey, which I misspelled, but a survey to get club feedback, just to see how you like that experience. We noticed that the advanced club level, they really love how we did it. And even though we have the general evaluator, we're asking the general evaluator to take it to the next level, to really focus on the club before it starts the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting, the speakers, the evaluators, and actually evaluating the evaluators. Like, it's an evaluator speech is a real speech. And again, we got to take it more seriously. And I think if we do, it's going to not only improve the growth potential of our Toastmasters, give that motivation, keep them inspired. That also leads to retention, and I think an overall club success. So I want you to help me with this, and I'm gonna hand it back over to Madam Toastmaster.
Great, thank you so much. It's very helpful. If you don't mind to put all this information in the chat in some way where we can all access, that would be great. Thank you. Definitely we can use it, and great idea to maybe start for next week. Well, let's keep moving with our meeting, and I'm going to ask for our timer report now.
All right, Madam Toastmaster, thank you. Here's the timer report, prepared speeches for Mr. Balut. He was questioning whether it was timed for 8 to 10 minutes. I was questioning that too, but I did remember it was around 11 minutes and 30 seconds. I seriously think that you should be timed for 10 to 12 minutes since it's a special project. I suggest, like, I strongly advise that David should let you pass on that one. The second speaker, Natalie, thank you for the great tour guide for chasing eclipse. And you finished at 7 minutes and 40 seconds. It's roughly within that grace period. I'll give you a pass. And speaker number 3, Freddie, you actually finished right on time. It's 7 minutes and 25 seconds. Yep, you're probably the only one that legitimately passed this one. All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sean. I'm going to ask our officer Toastmaster that he's gonna, for our guest, you're going to see a survey, and you can select who you think that was the best speaker for the night.
Unfortunately, Angelica, 2 of our speakers did not qualify. They are Toastmasters, so they don't get leniency. Therefore, we only have 1 qualification, which would be Freddie.
Okay. Well, thank you for the explanation. So let's keep moving with our next part of the meeting, which is very fun. Again, this is the time where I am encouraging all our guests to participate and let us hear your voice. So I'm going to introduce a very important role for the night as our table topic master. And tonight is going to be Elvis Lopez. Go ahead, Elvis.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I have the pleasure to be your table topics master tonight. As you know, in the table topic session allows us to practice our impromptu speaking skills. And for the guests, this is the session where we would be practicing. We all came here because we want to improve something. Some of us, we want to improve our leadership skills. Some of us also need to improve our speaking skills. So we get the chance to practice in a very fun way. We will be asking a question, and you will be developing a skill to think quickly, put together your ideas, and answer to impromptu questions or topics. So I will be selecting some volunteers for the first question. So who would like to be the first to participate? Hey, Elise. It's great to see you. So your first question will be, what's a major event you remember from your childhood? What's a major event you remember from your childhood?
So I'm not sure if most of you would consider this really to be a major event, but it's something that I think might have been very formative in my life. As you guys know, or some of you know, I'm a veterinarian. And one of the questions that asked in our vet school interviews is always, why do you want to be a veterinarian? This is the story that I like to tell. Growing up, we had gerbils, kind of like a little mouse, a little bit cuter, fuzzy tail. And one of our gerbils got sick. And my parents were somehow convinced to take the $5 gerbil to the vet for a $90 appointment. And turns out the gerbil had an ear infection. He needed to get some antibiotics. And you know, when you give a cat or a dog antibiotics, you kind of shove down their throat in a pill form. When you give a gerbil an antibiotic, apparently it comes in a little tiny dropper bottle, and you have to flip it upside down and drop it into his mouth. And so I'm doing this with my $5 gerbil at like 8 years old, and he latches onto my finger and will let go. And so I'm sitting here like stretching the gerbil on my finger, screaming, crying, and I run upstairs. I'm like, I can't get him off of my finger. And we finally get him to let go. My mom is like, do you still want to be a veterinarian? And I'm like, yes. Mr. Table Topics Master.
A great experience, and it did help. Actually, you became a veterinarian. Now, I would like to ask for our second volunteer of the night, and I see a hand from David.
Our guest,
Okay,
Stuart would like to tackle one.
great. That is great to hear. So, Stuart, how did you balance work and family life? How do you balance work and family life?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. To balance work and family life is at times very easy for me and at times a little bit awkward. In the United States, I only have my wife, and then back in Scotland, I have a very small family, just my parents and my younger brother. And so my wife works very early mornings, and she is home by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I usually have at least 3 hours to spend with her. My work is usually finished around 6 or 7, so that's very easy. The awkward part is keeping up with my family in Scotland because of the time difference and their work schedules. So I often have to try and make time early in the morning to call them then and have a 15-minute chat with my brother, and then I have to do the same with my mother and father to make sure they're all happy and that I don't create any arguments. So that plays into my work-life balance very easily. I would say that sometimes my work can be quite demanding. I have to work sometimes 60 or 70-hour weeks. And so my wife gets a little bit jealous of my work at that point, and I find I have to keep a conscious eye on the amount of time that I'm dedicating to each. Although I would argue sometimes the excessive amount of work is also to her benefit. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Stuart. Great experience there. Now, let's hear from another volunteer who would like to go next. And any of the guests would like to jump up today and take a risk? Aaron?
That's fine.
All right.
Thank you, Table Topics Master.
What? Well, let me change it and take it a little easier with you. Of all the things your parents taught you, what do you think helped you the most? Of all the things your parents taught you, what do you think helped you the most?
Out of all the things my parents taught me, well, growing up, my parents taught me a lot of things. I was raised by my stepdad, and one thing that he taught me was his work ethic. He never stopped until he was finished on the job. He was a contractor, and I would actually worked alongside with him since the time I was like 10. I learned a lot from him, and we would be out there for 10 or 14 hours a day sometimes. And I'm at a young age, you know, so I'm still learning. I might be cleaning up, just moving small things around, just doing simple tasks. But one thing I learned from him was to, you know, like there's always something to do, even though it doesn't seem like it. And I mean, that's just like, that goes along with work ethic and just making sure that everything is done correctly and efficiently. Thank you, Toastmasters.
Great, great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I would like to ask if we have time. No, I think we are. Well, it has been a pleasure to serve you as a Table Topics Master tonight. And now I will transfer back over to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Toastmaster. Thank you for all our guests and all their comments. I'm now going to ask our timer, Toastmaster, the timing report.
All right. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Just a quick reminder that we are already approaching 7:30, officially the original meeting end time. And I'm just gonna wrap this up real quick. For table topics discussion, our speaker number one, Elise, you finished at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Congratulations, you qualified. And speaker number two, our guest, Stuart. Thank you for your great speech. You finished at 1 minute and 1 minute and 48 seconds. You also qualified. And speaker number three, Aaron, you also, thank you for sharing the great story with your dad. And you finished at 1 minute mark. You also qualified. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And you can see on the screen the voting. I think you're going to see in a second, so please go ahead and vote for the speaker that you think that did best in your opinion. Let's keep moving. We are going to start with the next part of the meeting, and I'm going to handle the meeting now to our general evaluator to review how we're doing and introduce our general evaluator for each speech. Please welcome Avanish Sand.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. For the benefit of guests, my name is Avinash Singh, and I will be conducting general evaluation for the meeting. As a general evaluator, I'll be assisted by the team of evaluators who will assist me in evaluating the different speeches. Also, I'll be conducting overall evaluation of the meeting. So help me welcome first evaluator, Ali Tobin, to evaluate the first speech by Bulut.
I'm a little slow when it comes to this technology. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I think Okay, I think I missed. I didn't realize, Amber, you're there. I think at the start of the meeting there was some confusion. So yeah, over to you, Amber.
Okay, so good evening, Toastmasters and guests. My name is Amber Tanise, and I will be evaluating Turk. So one, Turk, your speech was very, very informative. I like how you started out with a quote, and it was Toastmasters is where leaders are made. I really appreciated that quote. You were very clear, and it was very easy to understand you. And with the support of your slideshow, it supported your actual speech. So that you had vocal variety by being able to control your tone, the speed, and your volume. You use physical gestures, so you use your hands in the appropriate times. You engaged with interesting and constructed content. I'm trying to read my notes at the same time. And again, you had a slideshow to support your speech. And also, so you really caught my attention when you mentioned enthusiasm and confidence and confidence. So yesterday I started my new job and I don't have that much experience with that job. So I'm in the enthusiasm phase and just trying to keep up with everything. So appreciate that. A few things though, I would have liked to see you to be more engaging. So maybe starting off with like asking a question, something of that sort with us. And then also just maybe a better flow of the speech. It was kind of going different directions at times. So just maybe a better structure. But other than that, I thought your speech was pretty good. And thank you. I'll pass it back to the general evaluator.
Thank you. Thanks, Amber. Excellent evaluation. And I guess, yeah, excellent speech, Bulut. I could very well, relate to the speech and the topic, because as a manager, I have to work with the people who are like, freshers in the job, and I have to deal with the people who are like 30, 35 years in the job. And you really have to, deal differently to those people. Excellent speech. Help me welcome the second evaluator for the meeting, Bailey. Bailey is going to evaluate the speech of Natalia. Bailey, over to you.
Thank you, Avinash. Greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Bailey Beatty, and I am an evaluator for Natalie today. I first want to say, Natalie, I loved your speech. Loved the background, loved your outfit, loved just how you introduced yourself. The topic in and of itself, I have no intellect about eclipse. So I thought that was really interesting. I had no idea one was coming up actually, and that there were many different types of eclipse. I thought you outlined your speech really well. I got a good flow of what you were going to say and could follow along very easily. I thought you had good hand gestures as you presented today, and your voice was very, steadied, very calm. I felt like I could just really follow along. I loved as well that you were able to sort of engage the audience by having us sort of visualize and have us sort of think about a happy time that we all could think about and go back in time, and how it sort of flowed with the eclipse and how that sort of comes together. I thought it was interesting as well to hear about your trip to Australia, and I had no idea that there are other pieces of the world you can't see as if you were in somewhere else. And so hearing that, because I'm such a travel geek, that was really cool, and I'd love to hear more about your Australia trip. But anyway, and speaking on the note of traveling, I think it will be interesting about the eclipse chasers. I had no idea about that as well. Just learning new things left and right about the lunar eclipse, or I should say solar eclipse. And I just think if anything that needed to be sort of improved on was just, I don't know how much room you have in your space, but just sort of utilizing the room a little bit more. And then of course, the time was just a little long, but besides that, I really enjoyed your presentation and appreciate it that you did it today. Back to you, Avinash.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy. Excellent evaluation, a good emphasis on positives as well as on the areas of improvement. And in fact, Natalia, I had no idea that we have a solar eclipse, around the corner. Thanks for, bringing to notice, and hopefully on 10th, we can definitely, enjoy that. With that, help me welcome our third evaluator, David Jones. David will be evaluating the speech of Freddie. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests. Well, it's always difficult to evaluate somebody like Freddie. Freddie is an experienced and advanced Toastmaster. I personally consider him Mr. Queen City due to his involvement in the club. And he did have me personally on edge because as he was evaluating the club as a whole, I was hoping he wasn't going to bring up my name. And fortunately, it did not come up. Now, when he started his speech, he gave some quotes about Ken Blanchard and Bill Gates, which is great because it always gives credibility to your speech and you kind of have a reference point as to where you're going. And he was encouraging us to be better at evaluating, being better at a club, going back to the pre-pandemic area. And anytime we talk about Toastmasters, almost all of my speeches are about Toastmasters. I'm all for it. So I thought it was a really good speech. He has a lot of great projection and vocal variety. And he just keeps your attention because, at least for me, I was on the edge waiting to see what he's going to say next, especially when he talks about the club. Now, obviously, room for improvement. Unfortunately, and I apologize, I didn't know you needed to share a screen. Balut came early to the meeting and we did kind of a practice run to make sure he did that. So my room for improvement would be to make sure you let the president or Toastmaster know that you need to share a screen so we can make that happen for you. The other thing was you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of charisma, and I would always love, even on Zoom, for you to stand up and engage the audience and talk to everybody so they can see your energy, because when we're just sitting there, we're a little blasé. Not that you're blasé, but most people are. And I did notice a couple of times you reading from the computer, but I think it was acceptable because you were making a point, you're reading specific quotes from Toastmasters about how we should do things. Therefore, I think it was really good. But overall, it was a really good speech, and I don't have much criticism other than the little glitch that we have. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator. We have a lot of roles.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Excellent evaluation. And I just want to highlight from Freddie's speech. Freddie made some real good suggestions about rapid fire review for general evaluation. I think that's something we should really, look at, and hopefully, Freddie can guide us in dealing with the rapid fire rounds. So thank you, Freddie. In the next section, I'll request Timer to give the timer reports for the evaluations. Over to you, Sean.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So we have 3 evaluators. First evaluator ended at 2-minute mark. Congratulations, Amber, you did great. And our second evaluator, Bailey, you finished at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You also qualified. And our third evaluator, David, you finished at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. You also qualified. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Now I'll evaluate the meeting as a whole. I think the meeting started on time. We had a problem with the fact that some of the people who signed up for the role, they did not turn up on time. So that created some sort of initial hiccup at the meeting. But as always, David was gracious enough to manage this and assign the roles Thanks to David for making introduction for the guest and also mentioning the founder. I did not know about that. That was something new. As a whole, in the meeting, transitions from one section to another were smooth. Mostly by the speaker, time limits were observed by all the participants in all the sections. And the fact that guests were encouraged to speak was really encouraging. That was good. Today's theme was excellent. It was very simple yet very powerful. Thanks for having a theme like that, Madam Toastmasters. Good introduction and emphasis on the theme of the day. And thanks for sharing the personal experiences. There was good introduction to different role and a speaker by Madam Toastmaster. There was good intro on the role by grammarian, by timers, and the different roles that people were playing. Overall, that was a good meeting, but the only thing that I would suggest to improve is people who are signing up for the role, they should at least turn up to the meeting 5 or 7 minutes before, so that the people, for the president and Toastmasters, they can start the meeting without any hiccups. That's the only suggestion that I have. Okay, as a last section, I would request for grammarian to provide a report. Over to you, Lian.
Hi, so I will, since we're running out of time, I'll just do a quick rundown. For tonight's meeting, nobody used the word of the day except Angelica, so great job on that. And you said 15 times. Natalie, you said 2 times. Ali, you said 2 times, like 4 times. Sean, you said 4 times. Balut, you said 9 times, and 1 times. Tiffany, 0, great job on that. Freddie, you said 14 times of Elvis, you said 1 time. Elise, 0. Stuart, which is one of our guests today, you said 2 times. Aaron, you said like 2 times. David, you said 2 times. Avinash, you said 10 times. Amber, you said 3 times. And Bailey, you said 7 times. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. I guess with that, we conclude the general evaluation part of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. Angelica?
I apologize. Thank you. Yes, I was on mute. Thank you for your evaluation. That was great, very well organized, and thank you for all the feedback. Since we're moving, we're behind time, I'm going to ask our Toastmaster officer to give us the ballot counter for the best speeches of the night.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So our winners tonight, starting with our table topics, goes to Aaron. Aaron was the favorite table topics. Congratulations. Our best evaluator, it says best, but I like favorite, but best evaluator goes to Amber, who's here in the house. Congratulations to Amber. Actually, we'll give you this because she's here. And our favorite speaker goes to Freddie. That was because the other 2 speakers went overtime, and we try to be lenient, but we're trying to get back on track as Toastmasters and do things by the book, and that's the book. Do you have any closing words, Angelica?
No, I want to thank you, everybody. I want to also apologize a little bit about the guests. Our meeting went a little bit longer, but this is unusual for us because we have a longer speech tonight, but usually we are very on time, 7:30. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for being part of the meeting tonight. And hopefully, I hope everybody sign up for next meeting. roles are available. The Toastmaster, somebody can do the Toastmaster. It's easy. Well, it's not easy, but you can try it. So thank you, everybody. And back to you, Mr. Officer Toastmaster.
President. Thank you, everybody. Next week is actually our elections. I hope everybody shows up because we need a quorum. You could have reached out to Vanessa. Vanessa is actually the Toastmaster next week. She's going to conduct the voting. We do it every 6 months here at Toastmasters. Usually the same officers run again. I'm not 100% sure if the same officers are running again. I know I'm running again, but I know role of secretary is open. So make sure you tune in next week for the meeting. And before we go, I know we're way past time, but I want to get some feedback from our guest, Stuart. We have more of a, what was your thought of the meeting? Any feedback?
No, it was very good. I think as being here in person, it's difficult to get a feel for all the people, obviously, because you can just see little squares, you can't really see the names. But I think the format was really easy to understand. So yeah, I think it was great.
Thank you much. And Aaron, any thoughts or feedback from you on the meeting?
This was actually fun and interesting. I've never been in a meeting that evaluates speeches like that. I mean, especially how what's her name, Bailey?
Yes.
Sorry, am I lagging? Or am I lagging, or is that you? Well, like I was saying, Bailey did a really good job of evaluating the speech, and how Natalie was like standing up, using her space to like kind of express herself. So that was really cool. I mean, and also Freddie, his speech was actually really good. Like you said, he used the quotes just to reference on what he was speaking about, and just connecting the Toastmasters Club into that. Also, what is his name? Balut? Yeah. That was actually really awesome, and I can tie into that. I started a job about 4 months ago as a junior recruiter for this company called CCS Construction Staffing. I am the first junior recruiter for that company, so they didn't really know what to have me. Well, they had an idea what I was doing, but they didn't really train me. They kind of just threw me in there, and I mean, I was able to pick up as the enthusiastic learner, and then I could definitely tie in everything else that he presented, and that was actually really cool. I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. I'll definitely be back. So.
Well, thank you much. I appreciate it. And thanks for being the Table Topics winner of the evening. I just want to do a special shout out to a special guest, our past president, Elise Levy, who was a Table Topics person. Hello, she's in the process of moving to Greensboro, unfortunately, or Greenville, or somewhere other than here, but she was able to make it. And I'm going to call the meeting to close because we're past, but you're welcome to stay after for the post toasties, just as chit chat. But other than that, have a good